10 hours we can start.
Happiness is not something you postpone for the future. It is something you design for the present. Hello and welcome to this webinar organized by SEMS Welfare Foundation. I am Mohammad Shahnawaz Ali, your host for the event. First of all, I would like to thank each and everyone present here for their participation. Now, I would like to give a brief introduction of our organization. SEMS Welfare Foundation is a not for profit entity established to work in the areas of education, social welfare, women empowerment, skill development, and entrepreneurship, livelihood generation and employability, health, research, culture, international cooperation, sports, environment protection, or any other similar sector. We promote healthy lives, balanced and active communities, and strong businesses. It allows the volunteer members to concentrate their energies and efforts on long term goals when freed from day to day details. The topic for today's webinar is how to get funding for new age entrepreneurs. And to deliver the topic, we have with us Mr. Devansh Lakhani. Mr. Lakhani is a chartered accountant and founder of Lakhani Financial Services, a boutique investment banking and investment advisory firm based in Mumbai. They help startups to raise funds, mentor them, advise, and build business plans and pitch decks. He is also an angel investor and an entrepreneurship speaker. We welcome you, sir. Before we start, let me tell you about some important points. You are supposed to keep your mic mute during the webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat box and I will bring them up at the end. The feedback form would be shared at the end of the event. Please fill it within 6 hours. Now, I would request Mr. Devansh Lakhani to continue with the event and enlighten us with his knowledge. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mohammad Shanawaz. Thanks a lot for that kind introduction. And thank you to the whole SEMS Institute, SEMS College for organizing this event and more so over inviting me for this guest session, the guest lecture, to this amazing batch of students. Would love to, impart whatever I have learned in my entrepreneurship journey and in this startup ecosystem, which is the new ecosystem where everyone is so much interested and so many people want to get and create their own startups. It is just so exciting phase right now that India is in. So I would love to share my knowledge, my wisdom to the best of my capacity with all of you guys out here. And, would love to interact with you because after my presentation, it's going to be a complete Q&A. So would love to interact with you guys, and to answer whatever questions you guys have. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I will straight away start sharing my presentation, which is there. And the topic that I am going to speak on today is funding for new age entrepreneurs, ways of funding for new age entrepreneurs. All right. So before I start, I think just to give a quick glimpse about LFS and what we do is I'm a chartered accountant by qualification. Have recently invested in one startup, turning into an angel investor. Have helped 11 startups raise funds already, and we are working with the 12 startup also for the funding. I have worked with over 150 plus startups, and we are a team of 12 people. Mumbai-based company basically, and we are an investment banking firm. So that is what we do in its entirety. So whatever I'm going to share out here is purely on the basis of the experience and the knowledge that I have garnered over the last few years of helping startups grow and to help them raise funds. So without wasting any time, coming to the first slide that is there. So who is an entrepreneur, right? An entrepreneur is someone who is that first person to take a chance. Okay, an entrepreneur is someone who takes risks in his life. All right, and an entrepreneur is someone who has that burning desire inside him or her to solve a certain problem. Okay, that problem can be as small or as big, as whatever you can see in your day-to-day life also. Okay, it can just be as small as probably to make certain kind of toothbrushes which are not available today in the market and which are spoiling the gums of individuals who are doing what is available today in the market. Those brushes are spoiling the gums, and someone wants to create a brush which will be such good and such a healthy brush where your gums don't get spoiled and your tooth can be cleaned with complete ease and simplicity, right? It can be as small as that, or it can be as big as, say, for example, you want to manufacture electric vehicles, all right, which is a different ball game, like big plants, big manufacturing capacities, etc., required, and a lot of know-how, technicalities required, right? But that entrepreneur is someone who has that burning desire within him, that fire in his or her belly to solve that problem, and that problem should be a burning problem. And that entrepreneur must have a certain sense of responsibility, authority, and a certain sense of what do you call, motivation and discipline to actually solve that problem. He finds the solution, he works towards making the solution better, he works towards spreading the word about the solution to one person, to two people, to 100 people, to 200 people, to 1,000 people. That is an entrepreneur. Okay, he's an innovator, not only just an innovator, but he's an executioner who executes the ideas. All right, many of us, I think, many of us probably would be having ideas daily. मुझे आज ये करना है, I want to do this particular thing, I want to start this business, this looks like a good idea, right? But the person who actually executes, he is an entrepreneur, not the person who is just generating ideas. He is just a dreamer, not an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who lives the dream that he has seen. Okay, so first and foremost, we must understand, before we see that, okay, how one entrepreneur can raise funds, what are the new age methodologies to raise funds, we must understand who is an entrepreneur, right? After this particular thing, right, how many of you guys genuinely feel y'all have that burning desire within yourself to become an entrepreneur, or y'all want to solve a certain problem? It might be as big or small. Let's give me in the chat box, give me in the chat box that how many people actually have that burning desire, yes or a no, in the chat box. I would love to see what people are, young students like you guys, young minds, how many of you guys have a burning desire to be an entrepreneur? Give a yes or a no in the chat box, guys. Let's try to make it interactive. Okay, so we've got the first yes from Sonali. Anyone else who has a burning desire that they want to solve, he or she wants to solve? Tejasvi says yes. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Currently not, after completing my PhD, Chibola. All right, great. That's wonderful to know. Some few people, Jack, Akansha, saying a yes. Others, do you all want to become an entrepreneur? Do you all have any burning desire? Okay, or is it that you want to focus on something else, which is fair enough, with due respect to everyone, very much fair enough. Okay, but this is something we're talking about, entrepreneurship, and hence the question. Sara says yes, Dharmendra says yes. That's awesome, guys. Keep it up. You all have that burning desire. Keep that desire always on, because it will lead you to some place. Okay, it will lead you to something beautiful. Coming to the next one, right? What is funding? Okay, now it's very important to know that funding is a part of entrepreneurial journey. It is not the only part. Okay, I think many people, after seeing Shark Tank India and everything, many people assume that if I start a business, if I generate an idea, I'll be able to raise funds immediately. That's not the case, guys. Let's be practical and honest with ourselves. Okay, just because you get an idea at night while sleeping, no one is going to fund you. Okay, so funding is not just the thing about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not funding. Funding is a part of entrepreneurship, a very small part. Okay, it is as equal to, say, building a good team. Okay, it is as equal to, say, building the right culture in the team, the right discipline and the attitude in the team members, the growth mindset in the team members. It is as important as, say, marketing. You need the right marketing channels, either Instagram, Facebook, offline, college mein, whatever. Okay, it is as important as operations. So funding is just a part. It's just a small pie of a whole circle. Okay, it's one slice of a whole. Let's say 14 inches or 12 inches Domino's pizza, large size Domino's pizza. It's one slice of it. Funding. Okay, don't give it that much importance, which generally in the media hype it up and give so much importance. Itne pe valuation hua and all those stuff. That does not go like that, right? But funding is a part that you provide capital resources. You provide financial support to an entity, okay, to a startup, to start their business, which generally the founder themselves provide the capital, or their friends and family, parents, brothers, relatives, friends can invest in their company to start the business. Second, it can be to run the business, right? So sometimes you need the working capital to keep on churning the capital, to keep on running the business, to keep the fuel on. So that's the second option. And third one is to expand the business. Okay, abhi ek stable level pe pahunch gaye hai. We have reached a stability level. From now here you want to zoom, you want to jump, you want to grow 5x, 10x. Okay, so that are the three reasons why funding is required: to start the business, to run the business, and to scale the business, to expand it from where you are right now. Okay. Sources of funding for new age entrepreneurs. Very important. One must understand that when you are trying to raise funds for your startup or for your company, typically these 5 to 6 sources of capital are available at your disposal. Okay. Isse zyada generally hota nahi hai. Yes, IPO is there. Once you're listed on the stock exchange, you can do right issues, preferential issue. Those things we are not discussing here because it does not come for early stage companies. Okay, so we're talking about early stage startups. So yahan pe generally these 5 to 6 sources of capital come, which I'm going to go one by one. First one is a personal source. Okay, which is, as I said, to start the business. You generally take capital from your friends, from your family members, parents, relatives, brother, sister, whatever. Okay, or you do from your own savings. Okay, so that is called bootstrap capital. These methods are called bootstrap capital. Note it down in your books. If you all are carrying a book and a pen with you, please note it down in your books. It's called bootstrap capital. Okay, when you are sourcing from your own sources, when you're sourcing capital from your own contacts, your own sources, specifically your near and dear ones, it's called bootstrap capital. That's the first source of capital. And that is precisely what every founder does or should do while starting a company, while starting a startup. Okay. Second one is crowdfunding. Okay. Crowdfunding means what? That you go to multiple investors, 100 investors, 200 investors. You put your documents on a crowdfunding platform, and people are willing to join your cause or join your mission of solving that problem. And those guys are the people who would want to invest in your company. I'll give you an example. Okay. I think 5 years back, when electric cycles, not a bike or not a scooter, electric cycles were newly launched. And there was a company, there was a startup based out of Kerala, okay, which had started manufacturing these bicycles, and I was very intrigued. And I could not wait to just get my hands on it. So I purchased it. Now, for purchasing this was a crowdfunding platform. They had listed their vehicle, they had listed their the bicycle on the crowdfunding platform. So I purchased on the crowdfunding platform. There it was what? That if you pay, you are an investor, you are the customer. So you get the money, you get the bicycle only if you have paid. Okay, only then they'll start manufacturing. They'll not start manufacturing before that. Okay, so they were trying to sell their products also on their platform, and they were also indirectly raising capital. They were bootstrapping it from the client's capital only and making them as remote investors without giving them a stake. So that's called crowdfunding, where you're listed on certain crowdfunding platforms. I'm not recollecting certain crowdfunding platforms. Let me just search 1 minute. I can give you a few platform names actually, which will be very helpful for you guys. Just 1 minute, I'm just searching. There are 2-3 very popular ones. There is one called Fuel a Dream. So Fuel a Dream is a very good crowdfunding platform. One can actually go out there and see whether you can really list your startups out there to raise funds from them. But generally, कौन से type के startups चलते हैं वहाँ पे? They are startups basically which are solving a certain high, strong mission-driven problem. Okay, some climate ka thing, some technological thing, which can really change the climate for the good, etc. Which is making lives easier. It will not be a typical products or services. Okay, it has to be something very unique. Okay, so that is the second source of funding. Third source of funding is government funding. Okay, government funding is basically the grants that these government agencies and government departments give. For example, state government gives the grants. If you're opening a startup in, say, Telangana state, okay, so Telangana government will give you a certain grant. If you register under that particular form, you fill the form, etc., etc. Okay, so every government has a certain incubation center. They have created a certain agency under the government, under the state government, which will shortlist certain startups, select them, and disperse grants to them. That initial 10 lakh, 20 lakh kind of a grant, which will be useful for those startups to actually build their product, to build their platform, to build their technology. Okay, so these grants don't come with any any equity stake. They don't come with any interest percentage. It is not a loan. It is a grant. I have granted it to you. Okay, so just till now, you guys are clear. Give me a yes or no in the chat box if you guys are clear. Okay, just give me a yes or no in the chat box if you guys are clear. So I just come to know the pace and whether should I move forward or not. Okay. So that's I think a unanimous kind of a yes. So I'll proceed ahead. I'll take the liberty to proceed ahead. Okay. These are I think we are done with 3. This thing. Going to the next one. Venture capital. Now this is something what we also do as a company at LFS. We help startups to raise funds from venture capital. Now venture capital fund is a fund. It's an organization which collects investments from a pool of investors, which are ultra HNI investors or certain other institutions like banks, insurance companies. सबका पैसा इकट्ठा होता है and one VC capital, VC fund manages that money. Say for example, 100 crore fund it is. Okay. Now that VC fund will really allocate or invest that capital of their investors into startups. And these guys play the long game. They play the 5 to 7 year game in a startup. Okay, venture capital funds are people, who are playing that long game. And the name also venture, it's like sometimes it can be termed as vulture capital also because they, really hunt like vultures and they want the best deals for themselves. It's a worse than a shark probably. They hunt like vultures. All right. So generally, venture capital, brings around a lot of value addition other than just financial resource. Why do we say that? Because venture capital funds have such experienced people managing the fund. They actually help the startup and the founder to build the business. Okay, they help them to open certain connections. They don't just bring in capital, but they monitor their investments. They monitor the founders. They guide them. Okay, help them to raise the next round also. All right. So it's not just financial expertise, but also the managerial experience, just the network that they have. They bring all those to the table for the startup founders. Okay. A VC fund typically has 2-3 layers of operation. The first layer is the general partner. Note this thing down. It will be very helpful for you. First is called the GP, general partner. He is someone who is going to manage the fund. The complete money that is there, He is going to be responsible to invest in the startups and to monitor whether they are growing or they are not growing, they are shutting down shop or what is happening. Then comes the limited partners. Note it down. LP. Limited partners are the people who actually invest in the fund and give it to the GP, that is the general partner, to handle the money. So limited partners are typically the top-notch ultra HNI people, big banks, institutions, insurance companies, foreign funds, foreign institutions who want to invest in this particular venture capital fund, which in turn will invest in startups. Okay, so these are the two people, and the third one is the investment analyst. Sorry. So they are basically, they scout the deals, they scout the startups that come to them, they scout all those things, and then they present the case whether it is going to be worthy, whether it is going to be successful, etc. And then send it, forward to the GP, and then they try to negotiate and close a deal with the founder if they really like it. Okay, so that is venture capital for you. Then comes angel investors. Angel investor is basically one angel investor. From the name, I think you can come to know they come in at a very early stage like an angel to the founder, to the startup. Okay, they come with those angel beautiful wings, so to say, and they bring a lot of value addition. Some people do, some people don't. But if they're good angel investors, they bring a lot of value addition because they spend their time with the founders. They really provide them with certain networks, with certain breakthroughs, certain connections. And their ticket size is not very big, as big as a VC fund, but they do bring in certain investments. Some people bring 20 lakhs, some people bring 5 lakhs, some people bring 2 lakhs, some people bring 50 lakhs, 1 crore. They do bring certain investment. And they also like to see 20-25% IRR returns over the next 2 to 3 years. They typically don't stay for very long because more often than not, the venture capital fund will just buy the stake of the angel investor. So they will not stay for very long. Probably they exit after 3 years or something like that. Okay. And it can be structured in many manner. All these deals can be structured in many manner, like equity, cumulative convertible preference share, debt, a pure debt, or a not so that pure debt with a lot of interest and coupon rates, etc. It can be structured in many manner. But angel investor is an individual. What even I have done right now is called angel investor because I have invested from my personal savings into a particular startup. Okay, so that is angel investing. Then comes debt financing. The sixth one is debt financing. This is also very important. Yes, in the initial 2 to 3 years, banks don't give you debt and they don't give you loans because you don't have the papers, you don't have the documents. So no one is going to give you any loans. But now there's a new concept of venture debt. Okay, that venture debt is something which will actually help early stage companies to prosper and to grow and to raise funds. To get funds basically. But they take interest rates. Okay, they take interest rates. Without interest rates, they don't really operate basically. So sometimes the interest rates are high, sometimes they're low. It all depends case to case. Only if the startups margins and EBITDA and cash flow levels are positive, they can take such high interest rate loans. Because at the end of the day, these are all loans. Okay, these are all loans. All right. Later on can be converted to equity, but more often than not, they are all just loans. All right. So that is the sixth one. That is called debt finance. All right. So now we can probably start the Q&A. I am done with my presentation. These are the typically 6 forms of funding for new age entrepreneurs, or 6 ways how new age entrepreneurs can raise funds, from the network of investors that are there. I would love to take questions which are there and open it up for everyone, guys.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a pleasure having you with us. Now we have some questions to be answered. So the first question is, uh, Three most important habits to become a successful entrepreneur.
Three most.
Three most important habits to become a successful entrepreneur.
I think discipline is first. First and foremost is discipline. You need to have that discipline to wake up on time, to work for that dedicated number of hours. Entrepreneurship will not happen ke, 4 ghante kaam kiya by reading the book called 4 hours a week. All those things does not happen in real life, right? It is hard. It is a struggle. You have to make your time worth it. So discipline is most important. You need to sleep properly. You need to wake up on time. You need to work throughout the day. Give that dedicated effort. So discipline in terms of all these things. The other thing is patience. I would not say it's a habit per se. It's a personality trait or it's a feature that one person must have. But patience is required because it might be possible you might not get immediate success. You might not be an overnight sensation. Okay, you might not raise funds immediately. You'll have to go through a lot of struggle, a lot of hard work, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. We have also gone through it, and after after a few months there is some kind of struggle phase that comes. There's some kind of a down phase that comes. So patience is required to navigate through those struggling days and through those down phases. Okay, so that's the second, and I think third one would be habit. um, I would say reading and writing should be a good habit of every entrepreneur. You must write something, either content on LinkedIn, write a blog, write a page, write a newsletter, create your own newsletter. Write something. It helps you to be creative. It helps you to open up your mind space and your soul. Reading, keep a habit of reading daily 10 pages of some business book or some other book also for that matter, but read something. Okay, there are so many books. I think I'm just seeing in my library. I was just seeing up for that only. I have a small library basically, and you just keep reading. Yeah, I mean, daily read for 10 minutes before you go to bed. I think that one habit can really change your, the mind cycle in a different format altogether. It will make it think so fast. You'll be surprised. You are so optimization of your work is happening basically. So I think these three: discipline, patience, and reading, writing.
Thank you, sir. We have another question. What was your biggest fear? How did you overcome from that?
I think my biggest fear is always been to grow, or the fear of if we'll not be able to grow. Okay, I think जब start करना था इतना fear नहीं था, but to be honest, once you reach and once you are doing something, always that self-doubt or that fear is there whether we'll be able to grow and maintain the growth momentum in the right manner. So I think that's a very it keeps coming every now and then. So you have to learn to respect that fear and that self-doubt and hustle more, work harder to actually take it down basically.
Okay, sir, we have another question. There are many fraud running in name of crowdfunding. So chances of crowdfunding has reduced to a great extent. Nowadays, we rarely collect funds from this method. So how we can differentiate between the real crowdfunding and the fraud one?
See, crowdfunding I don't think, first of all, whoever has asked this question, if you're going to do crowdfunding, you will not be at loss anywhere, right? Because your money has not been invested there. You're just listing your products. And if someone likes the products, you are given your bank details and they'll submit the money into your bank details through that platform. So as such, आपका कोई पैसा नहीं गया, investment नहीं गया, you've just listed your stuff out there. If there is a fraud, you will come to know because the investor's money has not pulled into your bank account, but gone to that platform's account. So I think not to worry that much. You have to get a shot. Try with the big players like Milap, like this one. Which one I said right now? There was, which one did I say right now? Fuel a Dream, Fuel a Dream. So try with all these things basically. They are all renowned people, you know, big brands.
Sir, we have one question. Can you repeat the crowdfunding company name? Is a question in the chat box.
Fuel a Dream, Fuel a Dream, milab.org, Kickstarter.com. Kickstarter is one of the best popular websites. You should definitely try that. Kickstarter. I think these 2-3.
So if you have any questions, please type it in the chat box. Yes, sir, we have one more. What are the pros and cons of last three findings?
Means?
Sir, we have it in the chat box. Please. What are
No,
the
last
pros?
3 kinds of funding, pros and cons of.
Okay, funding. Okay. I think last 3 types of, let me just go back to it.
Virtual, debt, and angel, I think so. Yeah, venture.
So venture capital, look, everyone has their own pros and cons. Venture capital, I think the pros is basically you get access to an institutional network. An institutional network is basically a very professional network. They are not unprofessional like angel investors or someone like that, because angel investors single-handedly kitna hi kar lenge, you know. Venture capital has a whole team. They have the entire data. They have the entire analysis. So it becomes a very professional approach, and you know, really helps to get a growing or a scaling business in the right direction. Okay, so they have a lot of access. The cons are that they might take a bigger stake in your company, and they might be interfering in your decisions also sometimes. So those are the cons of VC. Which with angel investor, pros are, you know, if you get a good angel investor, that person can really be of huge help and can guide you along the way very well. You know, in your bad days also he'll guide you, because he comes as a mentor come investor. So that's the biggest pros that I feel. And the cons is that they come with a small ticket size, so it might not fulfill your requirement, you know. And if there are many angel investors in the cap table, so it can just become a little bit painful, because you're dealing with so many one-on-one investors, you know. So that is something which is there. A debt investing, debt financing, pros is that you don't have to give your equity, you don't have to give your stake initially to any investor. Cons is that you have to pay a monthly loan and a monthly EMI back to that financier. So I think these are the pros and cons, sorry, of these options.
Sir, we have another question. Which funding is better, and how we can be sure that we can get the funding as well?
See, which funding is better completely depends on your business plan, the vision that you have, the sector that you are in, the stage you are at. So very, there is no thumb rule which funding is better. That's number one. Number two is, what was the second follow-up question?
How we can be sure that we can get the funding as well, please?
You have to, first of all, work towards bootstrapping it to create a certain traction for your business. Okay, certain kind of revenues are required before you bootstrap it, before you go to outside investors to raise funds. If you're just going to be at an idea stage, so no one will believe you or trust you, especially if you are a first-time entrepreneur or something. You know, so I think to raise funds, it's very important to first just figure out and to test the product in the market, to generate some revenues, to see whether people are willing to pay for your business or not, for your product or not.
Sir, as per the government funds, will they provide the same, like as you said, 10 lakhs or something else, the same amount, or based on the criteria they will provide?
No, so every government backed incubator or every government backed agency who deals in government grants and startups, they always have an amount fixed.
But what are the preliminary things like we're supposed to submit for them? Like if we start any kind of plan like that.
You have to submit a business plan and a pitch deck. That is what something which our firm also tries to help the startups to prepare, right? So we have to submit them that.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Please. Sir, it's a question. Can we discuss in person with you regarding the funding agencies relevant to our field?
Yeah, definitely. We can. I think here, if you click on this link, I don't know if you guys can click on this link. No, you all will not be able to. I will share this presentation. Once you click on this link, it has all my social handles and our email ID, etc. You can definitely come there, basically.
Actually, sir, you can share the link in the chat box.
Okay, yeah, 1 second.
Anybody else? Anyone else has any question? Please.
Is the link openable? The link is getting opened, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I think we don't have any questions.
Okay.
Okay, sir. With this, we come to the end of the event. I would request everyone to open their camera so that we could take a group photograph. Please open your cameras. It's a request, everyone, please open your cameras. Sir, I think we are done. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. All right.
Before leaving,
Wonderful.
please fill the feedback form and do like and follow our various social media handles for more updates. The link for the same is shared in the chat box. Once again, thank you everyone for making this event a success. Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shanawaz, and thank you, team SAMS, for calling me here. It was a great opportunity to present in front of all of you young, happening people, and who are going to be upcoming entrepreneurs. I would love to engage with each one of you once you start your entrepreneurship journey and guide you in the best possible capacity possible. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. You can now leave.